subject. Now, in the past, we've taken a couple of good, long, hard looks at the latest in mini pickup trucks. Usually, though, each contestant has more or less tried to make us forget the real purpose of a light-duty truck. In case you have forgotten, trucks are supposed to work and work hard. But what do we usually get? Well, front-wheel drive models, four-wheelers made more for hunting than hauling, pickups with extra seats in the bed, and such thick carpets that putting a muddy work boot on them is almost a capital offense. But this week a switch, a real honest-to-goodness, no-nonsense pickup designed to work long and hard with only one unusual personality quirk.
Hear that beat? Well, your ears aren't deceiving you. That's from the closest thing to a real 18-wheeler that most of us could afford, the Mazda 2200 truck. And as if you didn't already know it, it's a diesel. The 2200 starts with a $6,700 base price. Our deluxe version with AC and only a few other options retails for $7,900. But even gussied up, it's still the closest thing to a plain Jane pickup you can buy. But this plain Jane turns out to be a thoroughly modern Millie, for besides thoroughly up-to-date styling, this import has more than a few standard items that could make farm life a little more bearable. Let's start with the heart. In the wide-open engine room, you'll find a 2.2-liter four-cylinder oil burner that, while new to America, has been sold by Mazda in other countries for years. It includes so-called silent gear technology that makes it one of the smoothest idling diesels anywhere. And servicing that diesel should be a smooth proposition, too. But if the power plant is its heart, then the soul is in its cargo box. And not only is the 86-inch long bed standard on the 2200, but you also get convenient tie-down anchors along the side for securing any shifting weight. Inside you'll find, alas, only single sidewall construction, easy to dent inside and out. But the wheel wells are flat on top, so wide loads can be carried without too many scars. And although an 8-foot sheet of plyboard will hang out the rear about 10 inches, the overall payload of this Mazda matches up with any competition. 1,400 pounds to be exact, dead weight or alive, just right for picking up the pieces from any other Motor Week road test victims. But you can control your destiny yourself in the wide, if compressed and upright diesel cab. The seats are short but adequate, with the steering wheel well placed. There is carpet on the floor and doors, but it's a short cut pile industrial covering that should be near impervious to staining. The instrument cluster is basic pickup. That means few gauges. In fact, Mazda just ripped it all out of a base Mazda GLC, with only a diesel wait-to-start light added. Behind the seats, space is at a premium, with barely enough room for the tire jacking tools. And that brings us to the only big design flaw we found with the 2200 diesel pickup. The spare tire, found under the truck body, as on all real pickups, positively refused to be lowered. The heavy-duty bumper, made and installed in America, blocks the release mechanism. Our Mazda factory representative turned a few shades of red on that one, and it tended to increase our test team's frustration level a few points too. Back to the drawing boards. As for performance, it's typical pickup. Although a diesel power plant means that our 40 to 55 passing time of 8 seconds is slow even for a truck. But Mazda has put a very high rear-end gear ratio in the 2200 to take best advantage of the low-end torque that all diesels provide. Even with an extremely slow time of 13.1 seconds and a measly 44 miles per hour over our 500-foot course, you should have little trouble pulling a full load up even moderate to steep grades. That long bed, so right for work, makes for extra work in our slow-speed handling test. All that rear-end length, combined with a heavy diesel engine in the front, produced classic pickup handling traits. Gobs of front-end pavement plowing, combined with topsy body roll, and a tailgate that constantly wants to come around for an unemployment check. But to be fair, it is typical pickup and neither better nor worse than average for the gender. As for passing that stray cow in the dark of night, you'll have to be careful not to trade one accident for another. Brakes are rather ordinary. Stops from 30 took an average of 43 feet, a good showing but not spectacular. At higher speeds from 55 to 0, the story was the same, but with one sidebar. Our 6 panic stops averaged 144 feet, with a range of 138 feet to 151, again a non-spectacular showing. You've probably noticed, though, some tail spin, but it's much less than most trucks, and there was little fade or front wheel pull. Actually, a very competent overall system for a pickup. And its 40-foot turning circle, while comparable to only the biggest cars, is also well within reason for the 2200 and its competitors. Back on the highway, you'll find that despite its workaholic nature, this diesel is quite civilized. Sound level readings at 55 miles per hour were a quite reasonable 74 decibels with little wind noise. As for fuel economy, always a main reason for buying any oil burner, it's a long way from the single digits produced by pickups of old. The EPA suggests a goal of 32 city and 40 highway. Our truck had less than 200 miles on it when delivered and still managed 34. We were impressed. To sum it up then, the Mazda 2200 diesel is a fine example of bringing high technology and fuel economy to rural America. It's a real work truck with only a few unusual faults. Our only suggestion? Well, before you drive it away from your dealer, make sure he can change that tire before you have to.